views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Wow. Hey, everyone. It's so great to be connecting with you. Yeah, this is really cool. It's very, very cool. I want to thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. I'm going to wish you now, like, most fabulous, fabulous New Year. You know, many of you have been asking us, Pat, okay, like, we're waiting. You know, every year you guys have a theme for the Dr. Pat Show and Transformation Talk Radio, but you haven't busted it out yet. You know, you haven't been like, oh, this is our theme. And there's a very good reason for it, but I forget what that is. You know, maybe it's because I needed to talk to Holland today. Holland Haiis. Maybe I needed to talk to Holland about it today because what I have to tell you, this is the deal. This is the book she has put together, right? Okay. I'm like, I've just been waiting for this moment. And how brilliant is Linda to be scheduling this? So here's this, right? So how is it that one gets to be successful business consultant, right? How do you get to be somebody that can mentor, facilitate clients to reach their goals? But wait a minute. Also be coach on the art of leadership, the value communication, marketing, and then write a book called Consciously Connecting. I'll tell you, that's what today's show is about. This is what it's about. What does it mean for each and every one of us to consciously connect? Her book, Consciously Connecting, A Simple Process to Reconnect in a Disconnected World, is so relevant to today. When she and I first met, you know, we talked about what is happening in the world, what's the energy, what's the life force, and what is going to be required of us in this age of technology where we feel, some people feel so disconnected. What is it? What's going to take for us to reconnect, with ourselves and then with each other? Well, today's show is about that. Holland, it's great to have you here. Great to be chatting with you again. Yay.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited just hearing your intro, and my stomach's bouncing around, and I can't wait to play.
Well, you know, we held back. Every year we have a theme for the upcoming year. And I decided this year, because there's so much happening right now, you know, it's as if something exploded in the month of December that I actually don't know much about, but people that are in the world of astrology, numerology, healing, they have a sense of it. But do you have a sense of something changing and shifting, Holland? And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, listeners, for being here today and spending time with us. Yes, actually, there is a shift, and I'm feeling it more and more year by year, and that really special full moon that we all kind of felt that was bringing our emotions to the surface and really bringing to the surface some of those goals we've been working on and either making them more tangible or not. We are moving into this place of empowerment, and we are at a place of deciding where we're going to empower ourselves and how we want to do that. And we've, for many of us, and part of the reason I wrote the book is so many of us have handed over our power to our devices. And it's really time to look at where we need to disconnect and how and where we need to reconnect.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute because people are, very much aware of how busy their lives are. Busy, busy, busy. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just, you and I, be really clear about something. We are also very, very busy, right? It's not like we're sitting around saying, oh, we're not so busy. We're connecting. Why can't you?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm as challenged as the next person listening to this show. Don't you think you are as well?
I think we all are. Life has changed. The work world has changed. This is not our parents' way of managing a household or going to work. And so we all agree that the world is moving faster, that the workforce has changed, how we connect and either do things personally or professionally has changed. So we're all busy. What we have to consciously make the decision to do is to take some time for ourselves. We have to be willing to say, okay, I'm not any busier than anybody else. We're all busy on this merry-go-round, and I have to be willing to take the time and make the commitment to myself and to my family to step off occasionally and really recharge for myself.
Yeah. Let's talk about the book for a minute. Consciously Connecting, a Simple Process to Reconnect in a Disconnected World. I love that you've put this together in a step-by-step way for us to follow. Because I don't know about you, but I've heard time and time again from people that, I can follow directions. Really, I can. I can follow good, orderly direction. I can do that. But I'm confused because everything seems so abstract. What do you say to that? Because we live in an interesting energy where I don't think we've ever been as abstract as we are now or conceptual as we are now. Yet, we're having to follow instructions just to use our phone.
Yes, yes. Well, I think there's we're going through a time where it's a little like we're making things a little more difficult than they really need to be. And what happens is it's as if we are rewiring our brains to always think that the obvious cannot be the obvious and that we need 7 points to get from here to 10 feet away as opposed to just one set of directions, which is just get up and walk. Part of that is, when we think about emails and how emails began, and they were supposed to be something very quick, something very short, and look at the way emails have changed and the way they are used now. You and I can be having a decision about what conference room we'd like to have a meeting in, and we can pass 37 emails for the next 4 days, and we're going to end up with conference room A on floor 7. We are forgetting simplicity, and I think that's what I tried. I hope that I did a good job in stripping things down and making it simple, because we are trying to make things more complex than they are.
Yeah, I love that you've broken this down for us. And we're going to talk about this, throughout the show today. But part of simplicity, people think, this is really kind of an interesting conversation. Somebody actually said this the other day, and here was my response. There's this simplicity at some level has gotten a bad rap. And the rap that it's gotten, here's what was said to me. Simplicity is just not sophisticated. And I said, I don't agree with you at all. I mean, I don't even understand. By the way, sophistication is so overrated. So here's me now, right? But I'm talking to you who lives in Manhattan, the home of sophistication, some people think. But what is it about simplicity that has gotten such a bad rap? What is it about our consciousness around this, where we think if it's not simple, it's not if it's not complicated, it's not worth anything?
Well, it's really interesting you bring this up, and I think for a while simplicity was considered old school. It was considered something back in the day that your parents did. It didn't have all the bells and whistles. And I think what has happened is we've now looked at all the bells and whistles, and don't get me wrong, some of what technology offers is fantastic. It is amazing to be 3,000 miles away, and if you have a contract you need to sign, or you have, people can hear this interview on another continent, it is because of technology. So I don't want the listeners to misunderstand that I love technology, and technology has a place. But I think what we are seeing is that we are yearning for simplicity, and we know this because what is coming back into style, if you will, or back into fashion. Look at The Tonight Show, for example. They play silly games. Remember when it was thought if your family played games, you were squares and you were really out of it and you weren't, you were simpletons. Now people are getting together and on a late night talk show, they're playing silly games. Why? Because we are looking for connection in a different way, and we know that it happens through some of the simpler things. Potlucks are coming back into style.
Yes.
Picnics,
yes.
Going to national parks. There was a time going to national parks. I remember doing that as a kid, and some of the neighborhood kids stuck their nose up, and they're like, "That's all you're going to do?" It was like, so simple and boring. Now people crave to go to those parks. You sign up a year in advance to stay in some of these park lodges. So simplicity is what we are craving and yearning for, which is why we are moving in that direction.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to just say, and let's talk about this when we come back, what I love about what Holland has put together is it is a guide. It is something that you can look at and you can take action because it's mapped out for you. But how is it that we go about this? What has Holland learned in time? And, in working with people all over the globe, what are some of the challenges that seem to be coming up for us that are pretty universal? Is it something we really yearn for? Do we yearn to connect? When we come back, Holland's going to talk about that and take us on a journey through this process, consciously connecting. Holland Haiis, joining me here today, works with business executive, coaches people across the globe, and is the author of Consciously Connecting, a simple process to reconnect in a disconnected world. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, everyone.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic. Have you ever tried maca? Meet my friends at the Maca team. They are dedicated to bringing you the highest quality, traditionally grown, organic, GMO-free maca supplements on the market. Their high-potency maca products have a vast array of health benefits and will make the perfect gift for that special person this holiday season. Use maca in your shakes, baking, herbal teas, and much more. Visit drpatspicks.com today to see our holiday offers and specials.
Naturopathic doctor, founder of the Martha's Vineyard Holistic Retreat, and author of the New York Times bestseller 21 Pounds in 21 Days, Dr. Ronnie DeLuce has helped tens of thousands of people, including celebrities and athletes, with her message of lifestyle change. Now Dr. Ronnie DeLuce wants to help you. You too can be saved. Email Dr. Ronnie DeLuce at info@ronniedeluceonradio.com and visit mtheholisticretreat.com. Dr. Ronnie DeLuce, your partner in wellness.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune into Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hey, everybody. It's so great to be connecting with all of you. And actually, Holland has gifted our listeners with a couple of free gifts, and we're going to give them away during the show. One of them is a free 30-minute coaching session with Holland, as well as we have 2 free ebook downloads. So we'll tell you a bit about those. Holland, this is really kind of a conversation that I'm sure you have when you begin to work with people. I know that folks are very interested in understanding, well, what is the process? How are we going to go about this? But I'm really curious in knowing what are some of the challenges people face with beginning, to take on a process of change like this, and B, with really actually seeing the value of connecting, or do they get it immediately?
I think it depends on where you are, at what point you're on in your journey. So I think it's a little different for everyone. Some folks get this immediately. We start to flesh out some ideas and look at goals and look at what they feel they haven't accomplished, and they're curious why, and we're able to flesh some of that out really quickly. For others, it's not so easy, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong. It's wherever you are on your path. Many of us are living on this diet of disconnect. We don't even know what we want. So often I will ask a client what it is they want in their business or in their life. And you would think that it is a very simple question, yet it is so complex, because very often the answer becomes, well, my business partner would like, or my spouse would like, and I have to stop them and say, what did you just hear me say? And they said, well, you want to know what our business wants. I said, no, I want to know what you want for your business, or what you want in your life. And so we're not used to asking ourselves this question. Very often we get out of school and we start the habit trail of life, and we're moving quickly, and we're getting jobs and finding getting our sea legs and getting apartments and moving and getting married and having families and doing all these wonderful things. And sometimes we really forget to stop and take a look at what it is that we want. So I really get people, both personally and business owners, CEOs, entrepreneurs, to stop, walk away from the automatic pilot of what you think you should be doing or what someone else wants for you. And we really start by looking at what it is that you want for you. And that's a lot of what I tried to incorporate very simply into consciously connecting for those who maybe don't have the opportunity to work with me, that they would be able to do simple exercises that empower them and give them the ability to start consciously plugging into what it is that they want and how to go about it.
It's really interesting. Somebody asked me, I can't remember when, it was about a week or so ago, I guess. They said to me, Pat, what do you want for the new year? What's on your desire list? And I love the desire question. I'm one of these folks that actually does believe that we were meant to have desires. Why else would we have them? And that's very different than wants and needs for me. It's very different than, Holland, I need blah, 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 right? Yeah. They're very different. It's like, what does my heart desire? And, out of my mouth came the simplest thing. And the person was shocked. And I said to them, I would like to eat ice cream every night and not gain a single pound. And they looked at me like, oh my God, Pat, how dare you? you're supposed to have a profound, like, desire deal that comes out. And I have to tell you, at the moment, that was it. I'm going through an ice cream phase here, Holland, okay?
I'm with you there. I love it. And you used to eat it every single night. So I get that one.
So here's what it's about. You ready? And I saved this for you to talk
Okay,
with you.
I'm ready.
Because maybe you can help us with this. Growing up as a child, I rarely saw my dad. Rarely. Mm-hmm. He worked 24/7. I don't come from a wealthy family. I'm from the Bronx, okay? And my dad worked in a trucking business 24/7. But I will tell you that on a Saturday night, right? And I don't even remember what the show was that we sat and watched with him. Out came the ice cream.
Mm.
Now, if that is not symbolic for a yearning to connect, I don't know what is. What do you make of that? Because sometimes it's not as obvious, right, as to what we want. But here I am. I got my best friend in town, and the way that I'm spending time with her, because she's staying with me and because we're very, very busy in what we're creating, we have ice cream.
Yeah.
Please don't send me to Weight Watchers, okay?
No, absolutely. And I think, again, that we have, we worry so much about what we eat instead of enjoying when we have those splurges and when we have that time that we enjoy foods that we wouldn't want to make them the foods that we eat 24/7, obviously, because we want to nourish our bodies. But we get so hung up in shaming ourselves and telling ourselves we shouldn't be doing this that we miss the joy, and it leaves that hole empty. And that hole sometimes is about connecting on a much deeper level. That is the same reason that I enjoy ice cream, not because of your dad, but because of what it meant to my family. And there is that connection for those easier times, those slower times, when you sit and you enjoy that ice cream and what that means. And I think for you, you're very conscious. And this is what I'm asking your listeners to do. Go out on a limb and look at some of your behaviors, some of the things you like to do, or maybe some of the things that you don't like to do, and become consciously aware of what it is that these experiences mean for you and why certain things like ice cream draw you more often, and what does that mean to you, and what is it that you need in your life at that time? Because maybe someone's body can't eat ice cream every day. Their metabolism and their makeup, they can maybe have it once every couple of weeks. So they would then want to look at, hey, I know what this means. This means I'm needing to connect to my family on a very deep level. So let me pick up the phone and have a conversation with my sister, my brother, my mom, my dad. If your parents are no longer around and it represents this for you, then spend more time bonding with your children, taking them out to the park, throwing a frisbee, having a walk, sitting down and shutting off devices and the television and having a conversation, because that's really, you're craving. The ice cream is really the metaphor, right? It's not really the ice cream you want. It's that closeness. It's that camaraderie. It's that feeling and connection to family and what family means to you. And it's done with the vehicle of ice cream.
Now, thank you all for your text messages and your instant messages you're sending me, asking me what flavor I liked. Okay, here we go. Now, here's the icing on the cake, if we would. I guess we're going to have a sugar swing right here. It's an interesting question. I bought a flavor ice cream with my friend Linda the other day that I have never bought before. Now, this is really tying this into what you're saying, right? And everything that we're talking about is in the book. I bought an ice cream that was my best friend's mom's favorite ice cream. She is, no longer with us in the earth skin. Yeah, right. Now it's getting a little eerie right here.
Deep
but you
connection.
Understand.
It's a real bond that the two of you have.
It's a real bond.
For you to pick that up. Mm-hmm.
I did. And here's what it is. I bought, for those of you, butter pecan ice cream. That's what I bought. And it's not an ice cream I buy. I know that I have never bought that ice cream.
Interesting.
Myself. But it was Linda's mom. And this is the time of year that I so treasured with her mom. So, this is really in our lives, isn't it, Holland? We seek out ways to remind ourselves of what it means to be consciously connected to each other. And, sometimes we don't realize it. I mean, had I not reread your book and had I not been talking with you, I don't know that I would have made that connection on my own, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are no accidents, as we know. And what this really shares with you is it lets you know now that at this time of year, that bond with Linda's mom and how important it was and how special, that now this allows you to be more cognizant, more conscious of that thread. And so next year, you may not need the butter pecan. You can go about it in a different way. And, hey, if there's butter pecan involved, that's not a bad thing either.
No.
But it allows you to really be more conscious. And that's the place that I believe in 2016 and moving forward, that we are all headed in that direction in our own way. I'm definitely feeling a shift, a planetary shift.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how we have several gifts, actually, for all of you out there, for a couple of you folks out there. We'll tell you about that when we come back. When we come back, we're going to talk about something that Holland points out in the book and I love it. It's the third Sunday in April, Connect to Words. Connect to words. What does this mean when we say it's time to start connecting to your words by empowering the content of your daily dialogue with positive and non-judgmental verbal communication? When we come back, we'll talk with Holland about this. We'll give you lots of information about how you can find out more about the book, about her website, about her work. Stay tuned, everyone. Are you ready to connect to words? We'll be right back.
The doctor is in. Tune in to the hit show, The Psychic Love Doctor, with host Deborah Lee. Deborah's life-affirming, highly perceptive reading method has taught Deborah how to zero in on specific problems with relationships, career pursuits, and current roadblocks to success and happiness. Join Deborah Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, and for a special broadcast the second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Do you want the freedom to spend more time with your loved ones? Travel the world? Live spontaneously? Get ready, because the Chip Justice Show is here. Hosts Dr. Pat Basile and Chip Justice can help you build meaningful success while embracing life. Living a life you love is the end game in this new, inspirational, and empowering show. Positive changes for a life you'll love. Tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com and visit PositiveChangeInstitute.co for more information.
Tune in to the Angels and Answers Psychic Radio Show with clairvoyants Artie Hoffman and Sky Siegel every Thursday for a 2-hour show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio. Artie and Sky deliver spiritual and motivational messages with passion and a sense of humor. Call in 800-930-2819 for live and on-air readings. Visit artiehoffman.com and skyofangels.com.
The new era of financial planning is upon us. where it is just as important to focus on your inner wealth game as it is your outer wealth game. Would you like to be in the forefront of this new groundbreaking financial movement? Lynn Brown, award-winning financial planner, energy coach, and international radio host, will share real, actionable money wisdom infused with empowering tips, fear-busting exercises, and money-growing magnetism. Are you ready to create your fully financially healthy life? Join Lynn for this free 2-hour full-spectrum financial planning workshop in Bellevue, Washington on January 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. Register by January 5th as space is limited and will fill up fast. Call in today at 425-372-4749. That's 425-372-4749. Light food and beverages will be included. See you there.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners, award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com. That's THEDRPatshow.com for listening times in your area.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I am so thrilled. Holland Haiis joining us here today. Holland Haiis. What the heck? Holland Haiis joining us here today. And you know, my gosh, I couldn't get that out. I was just having a moment there. It reminded me of when I was a teenager and I was stuttering. Oh my gosh, there we go. Today though, it really is a moment to really think about our words. And there we were. You know, this is what happens in our lives. You know, how do we connect to words? Sometimes we get it right, and sometimes you just do it the way that I just did it. But in the end, it's a process. That's what we're going to talk about. Before we do that, though, as I promised to everyone out there, we've got a couple of really cool giveaways. Holland, take a minute and tell folks a bit about the 2 free ebook downloads that we're going to give away first.
Yes. Well, the ebook downloads are of the book Consciously Connecting, and this will really give you the power that you need to really move forward in 2016. So you're going to be given a code, and then you can upload this to your iPad, your Kindle, any of those devices. It works with any of them. So we'll send you those directions on how you can do that.
I love it. And, you know, one of the things Holland says, and this is what we're finding to be so true, is that once you begin consciously connecting, you never look back. And that's what we're talking about. You know, for those of you out there, let's take our first caller. Benny, we'll make sure that we get your information. 1-800-930-2819. We'll take our first caller. We'll give each of these away separately. 1-800-930-2819. Give us a shout. We'll make sure those phone lines stay open for the rest of the show as well. And we'd love to give 2 of these away. We'll do them one at a time. You know, Holland, one of the things, before we jump to this, what is the website? Tell us the best way for people to find out more about you, but also to get a copy of the book on their own.
Yes, so the easiest way to find me is by my name. My name, again, is Holland Haiis, so that's double L's and double I's, Haiis like Sam, and .com. So hollandhaiis.com, and on the website you can purchase the book there. You can go to barnesandnoble.com. You can go to amazon.com. So it's definitely out there and waiting for you.
Oh, I love it. You know, I could have picked a number of different things in the book. And, you know, I think there are 2 things important to talk about with our listeners. One is, how is this book written? But also, I happen to pick connect to words. And I said something to you during the break. I said, you know, I've read a lot of books over the 13 years or so I've been doing this. And a lot of them about words and a lot of them about thoughts. But I've not really heard somebody say connect to words. And that is really so different because we do spend a lot of time pulling words out, trying to say the right thing. But right here, you're saying, wait a minute. This is a way for you to connect to words. Tell our listeners what this is about. But I'm really interested. Why is this important now? Why is this important in the world and the energy that's changing now?
Well, I think this is so important because of the shift that is happening. Many of us, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, especially women, more so than men, have found ourselves in conversations that have been laced with the insidious tone of criticism. And, very often you can walk down the street or you can stand in line somewhere to get a coffee, and people may be discussing someone's weight or what they're wearing. And when you stop and think about, do you really want to be spending your time being critical, choosing those sorts of words, and throwing those arrows at someone, whether they hear you or they don't? Because what is happening is that's negativity. And those negative thoughts are creating an indelible imprint on your mind. And you begin to hook into critical and verbally abusive dialogue, which furthers your disconnect. And we are all working toward being conscious and connecting in ways that are positive and empowering. And critical speaking, critical words, even shaming ourselves. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I can't. Oh, what an idiot. I can't believe I did that. We want to become cognizant of that also and very conscious, because that, again, hooks us and imprints in the way that we start to view the world negatively, dark, not full of power for us. And we want to be conscious to the words. Did I lose you guys?
No, what I'm thinking about is I wanted to take a moment and just stay in the breath of silence with that, because this is really sometimes what we must do, Holland. Sometimes our first instinct isn't always the best when it comes to our words or our thoughts. Mm-hmm. And we can pause, right? Mm-hmm. We can pause. The other thing that I really loved about what you wrote here, you ask some really interesting questions. You take us on this idea exactly about the imprints that negative thoughts have. Negative thoughts, negative words, negative statements. I loved the movie. I've watched it 100 times. Silver Linings Playbook, right? That book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The notebook, whatever. Silver Linings, right?
Yeah.
I love that movie. And, I often think, what am I relating to in that movie? Am I relating to a happy ending? What am I relating to? And I think the thing that I stepped away from with is I was relating to a character in the movie that was so determined, despite the wreckage of his own life, was so determined to find the silver lining. And, this energy and this shift sometimes enables us to make that silver lining more obvious than ever. Can you talk for a little bit about how this connection to words can help us literally change or transform our lives from within and then on the outside?
Well, thoughts are things and words are powerful tools. So I really want everyone to really get that. Words are powerful tools. The way we speak to ourselves changes the way we think about ourselves, which then allows us to really sit in that place of power and knowingness. When we come from a place of being connected to knowingness, to trusting ourselves, to really knowing that when that ping in the stomach or that little tap on the shoulder that so often we we walk away from, we say, oh, no, 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 no. When we get to a point of really starting by connecting from our words and more changing our thoughts and then changing our actions, which is bigger, because then we become a bigger force in the world for good. We become a person who is of service instead of expecting to be served. And we are all here to find that connection. And however the journey is, and we've all had our bumps and our pitfalls and we've all fallen down, it's about getting up. And I talk about understanding that kindness and you're connecting to your words, how you speak to yourself and how you speak to others, that is your truth. Because no one arrives on the planet negative, critical. We arrive when we think of little babies and we look at little babies. We arrive wide-eyed and we're innocent and we're full of wonder and we're open and ready for adventures and a magical journey. But some of us, unfortunately, have been taught through parents who didn't know any better to surrender from the true language of joy and being inquisitive. And we end up entering into an arena of self-doubt and criticism. And what I ask is that this be your moment to become aware and conscious of that and to walk away, to exit that arena today. It is a choice. It is a decision. And you start today. You will no longer belittle or shame yourself. And you don't belittle and shame others. If someone is overweight and you don't like it, then turn away and look in a different direction. It's not your business to discuss how other people look or their clothing or if they look unkempt or, someone shouldn't be homeless. I heard someone the other day on the street saying, well, if that person would have made the right choices in life, he wouldn't be homeless. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, that is amazing that you would know that just from walking by someone on the street who's homeless with a sign. Wow, that is really amazing. And that's coming from a place of really being critical. And I ask people to make the decision, and later in the year we talk about poisonous people. And you're not able to really know if poisonous people are in your sphere until you connect to the words, which is why we look at poisonous people in July as we find greater independence. And you start to look at those who are in your life, who are the people that are constantly finding fault and being critical and being racial, that negative, nasty talk. There is no reason to be with those people. There is no reason to join in. And if you are someone joining in, you need to make the decision. You will exit the arena today.
Yeah, I love what we're talking about, Holland. And let me tell you why. And then we'll talk about January and how the book is kind of laid out. The reason I love this is because we were asked recently, Pat, why now? Why are you creating, this network with 10 unique channels about positive talk, and why now crowdfunding, to finish the technology sooner? Why now? Why do you want to do it now? And I find myself, and it's not just me, I have a great team of people here, and we used to try to figure out why now. And there's sometimes that, we get plugged in to an energy that's calling forth, a shift from negative to positive, and we can't really explain it. We happen to be part of that wave right now of energy that's calling this forth at a global and community level. But certainly for many of us here, it started at the individual level, right? Mm-hmm. It started with our own personal journeys. And by the way, being homeless at 17, I could probably answer that question for you.
Mm-hmm, you see.
as I look back. But if you'd asked me that at 17, I couldn't. If you'd have asked me at 17, gee, perhaps you could have made a different choice, Pat, and you wouldn't be sitting there begging for money at the Port Authority. Well, if you'd asked me that at 17, I'd have probably looked at you and said, hey, you know what? I haven't eaten in about 10 days. Do you mind if you give me a few bucks? That would have been my response at 17 being homeless. But today I get to look back. In the first part of the book, you look at January and lay the book out month by month. But you call for something very interesting, Holland. I really didn't expect it in January. I didn't. I mean, I expected, like every other book that comes across the table, January is a time to set goals, to do this. You do not ask us to do that.
No.
It is brilliant. I'm going to do it. Please tell us, what is it about January that you're calling us to do, which I think is different than what most people do?
Well, thank you. And I'm excited that you're going to jump in and play with us this year.
Yeah.
Well, we think about this, we've had 6 weeks. We've had 6 weeks of sugar highs and alcohol highs and food highs and spending and chocolate and just everything imaginable. And it's very difficult to come off that roller coaster and jump into cutting out everything. And that's very often, we're an all or nothing, right? And I thought, gosh, we are not really in sync with necessarily exercising. Even if we exercise, look, I walk all over the city. I can walk 10 miles in this city like nothing. But I'm going to tell you, in cold January when it's, 20 degrees and the wind chill makes it feel 10 below, I don't feel like walking 2 blocks.
Right.
So I'm not out there pushing it. And while I try to stick with what I'm doing, I thought it would be great to look at, we're more like bears, right? We want to hibernate. So we want to focus in a different way. And so what we do is we start with reflection, and we really look at a couple of different things to really sync up to the new year in a new way. The first thing that we want to do is we want to start thinking about how we can slow down. We are all multitasking every minute of every day, and we are creating ADHD within ourselves. We are giving ourselves ADD. And so we need to step away from that, and we need to simply say, hey, I'm going to focus on slowing down. And then we have another week where we say, hey, let's internalize this more. I'm working with you from the inside out. So by the time spring comes, you've got your mind-body connection, and you can really begin to exercise and be excited about it, especially if it's not something you particularly love. So we are rewiring internally. We're looking at gratitude, and we're looking at how we want the holidays to be coming up in 2016, how we want to change that, what we want that's different. So we're going to do a little spin on that. And so it's really about shifting and following and respecting the seasons instead of fighting and pushing against that.
Yeah. And you're right about that. I mean, clearly for many of us, right, that grew up in places where, you don't think about, I'm going to take like a 3-mile run today or walk today. Let me go do that. And by the way, it's 28 degrees and -5 below. Or if you're living where I live in the Pacific Northwest and you were thinking, I think I'd like to take a walk the other day in the torrential downpour.
Right.
That is uncharacteristic.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And then what happens? You beat yourself up, and then you say, I can't stick to anything, and I my resolutions are all by the 5th day. I'm a loser, and again, we get into that self-talk that's negative and critical. So we want to set ourselves up to get what we want, and part of that is respecting the seasons and honoring the seasons. We are in the season of winter, and like bears, we need to hibernate a little bit. We need to do some internal house cleaning before we go outside and work externally. That will come. We will We will link that and connect that more in March and April. But for now, we're gonna do it a little differently.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is very cool. We are doing a lot of really cool things. Our crowdfunding campaign is launching in January. What a great time now to reflect. I want to ask you about one of the reflections, because I think this is really at the crux of, where I am right at the moment. I'm in deep, deep gratitude for so many things. And I believe you talk about reflect your blessings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I read this?
Sure.
I love this. This is one of my favorite lines. And as a matter of fact, with your permission, I'm going to post it.
Absolutely.
And it starts out and it says, flush the toxins out of your mind. No greens required. Boom. Thank you for that. But it really is part of reflect your blessing. So again, here I started to read this. I did not expect that in this section, right? You say gratitude works like a Ferris wheel. How so?
Well, the more we focus on what we are grateful for, what we have in our lives, who we have in our lives, it connects us on a deeper level to all of our blessings, and it connects us universally and spiritually, because what is the saying? Like attracts like. So as we are consistently focusing on how much we have, suddenly we've got more. And then we're grateful and we're focusing on, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have so much. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. Let me share. Let me give. And then it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect this. What? There's more? And so it really, the more you are focusing on it, it really is like a Ferris wheel. It just goes around and around and around. And the blessings are more abundant and they continue to arrive in your life. And this is, when you peer through a lens of gratitude, you see more options for the road to choose. You are able to celebrate your milestones. You can see all the new beginnings. When you're coming from a place of thankfulness, gratitude, it's a different set of glasses than when you're coming from lack and shame and victim and there's nothing for me. It's very different.
Yeah. And, it is a different energy, and an energy that many people will get to experience through the process that you've put forth. I love what you've done in the book. And again, I would please take a moment. Thank you so much for all that you do. Take a moment. Let folks know, please, how they can go about getting a copy of the book. Give out your website again. And it's so great to have you joining all of us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and I hope this has really ignited and inspired your listeners to go off and do just great things and be really conscious and connected to their life. So please give me a shout-out, or if you'd like to get any more information about what I do, you can reach me at Holland Haiis. Again, that's HOLLAND HAIIS like Sam.com. And my book can be purchased through my website, BarnesandNoble.com, BalboaPress.com, my publisher, an umbrella of Hay House, and also through Amazon.com. So it is out there, it is available, it is waiting for you, and I think you'll really enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and what I want to say to those of you out there, if you're thinking, wow, I really want this year to be different, but I don't know how to go about it, what Holland has done has laid out a blueprint that I consider a blueprint not just to a higher consciousness or consciously connecting, but a blueprint for those of us that have decided we really want to live life full out. Holland, thank you so much for today. One last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Well, what I'd like to leave everyone with is the moment that you realize that you can consciously connect to every aspect of your life, every aspect, your goals, your boundaries, your playtime, your family. The moment you realize that, you will become empowered and the roads of possibility will open up in front of you tenfold. So I wish you all a consciously connected 2016, and I hope that great things come your way.
I love it. And for those of you out there, I want to thank you all for an amazing year. I want to thank you, as Holland has done, for so much of the information and the feedback that you've given us. And believe it or not, every single request you've made of us, every change to our websites, any way to deliver what we're delivering, we have incorporated. So stay tuned as we come upon February 14th for what we are getting ready to release to all of you, thanks to you. We'll see you next time, and Happy New Year.
Tides that I tried to swim against,